All right, here we are. We didn't actually plan this beginning this time. I just realized that.
Started with me saying Svetka.
Yes, this is two non-critics.
Do non-critics.
Don't
The
let
non-critic will.
you. I am from upstate New York, and so is non-critic Will, but at the moment he is in Hawaii.
Yes, I am originally from Mother Russia, but today I am in Hawaii.
You kind of lost your accent there. But today I'm in Hawaii.
Oh, I'm in Hawaii.
I'm
Hey guys,
Russia.
that's it guys. Russia, Mother Russia. Ivan Drago.
Anyway, we're two non-critics, two lifelong friends and movie buffs with very different tastes who come together twice a week to talk about movies. This week, we're discussing a film that was non-critic Will's pick, A Werewolf Boy. Will, why don't you tell us why you picked it?
Well, I picked well, A Werewolf Boy is international movie. It's a foreign film. It's South Korean. The director is Jo Sung-Hee. Um, don't know him. The only work I have to base him off is this movie. But I chose this movie because I watch a lot of foreign films. Um, because it just foreign films they sometimes they have a stronger story to me than American films. And if you notice, a lot of the American films today, well, not there's a good amount of American films today that actually are just making a remake from a foreign movie. So I just pretty much say, why not go to the original? Because that was the better quality anyway. Yeah, America may come with better effects, special effects or whatnot, because they have time to see what was right about the movie, what was wrong about the movie, how can we improve on this. But to go from the original and see, where it all started, that's what I appreciate. And in general, I just love a lot of different foreign movies, just because it has a different outtake on things. And like I said, some of them are stronger, have a stronger story, stronger feel, stronger passion, or stronger commitment to the characters. So that's why I chose this movie. And yeah, once I've seen it myself, I liked it. I was just going through different trailers of different foreign movies and saw it, and the trailer caught my interest, and then that's why I decided to watch it. So then, 2 or 3 years later, I asked the non-critic Dustin to watch it. So I want you to tell us what you felt about the movie.
Okay, I watched surprisingly few foreign films, which is very odd to me because I usually end up watching them. Well, I watch the foreign film. I tend to watch a lot of French films and a lot of. I mean, I consider British cinema foreign cinema. I mean, it's British for crying out loud. And so I don't venture a lot into say Korean
Or Asian,
cinema. I can't think of it. I know I saw something recently that was Korean.
or just Asian cinema, you mean?
Yeah, Asian is true as well. I saw something recently before this. I can't remember what it was, but for the same reason, I do like foreign films a lot. I think a lot of them remind me of American cinema in the 70s. They tend to take more risks, or what we would consider risks. They tend to gravitate towards ideas more than anything else, and so it is appealing to me. So anyway, A Werewolf Boy. Uh, Real quick, what it's about: an old lady, an old Korean lady who lives in America, returns to her country home in South Korea because it's being sold, and she's trying to decide whether or not she wants to sell it. While she's there, she remembers her time there when she was
47
like
years ago.
Yeah. How old was she when she was there? Like 16, 17, something like that?
Like 17, or so 17, 18.
Hmm. And turns out the house used to be owned by this scientist man who's experimenting with wolves and humans. So she remembers the time when she was there, and she met a werewolf boy. At first, you're not sure if he's just a boy who was raised by wolves or if he's in fact werewolfish, and so on and so forth. I thought the film was pretty good. However, I couldn't get past the length. I thought it was a little too long, maybe about 20 minutes too long. And there were just certain scenes that I felt were just kind of, they lingered. I'll get more on that later, and it reminded me a lot of, and any story like this is going to remind you of that. It reminded me of E.T. and
Yeah.
also it reminded me. I told you this when we were talking about it earlier. It reminded me of the 1987 Howie Mandel comedy non-classic, Walk Like a Man. There are certain scenes there's certain scenes that directly mirror Walk Like a Man, but there are only so many ways you can tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
So I had trouble getting past that. But overall, I mean, I thought it was pretty good. It looked nice. The characters were fairly interesting, if a little generic. Like the villain of the piece is an asshole just because he's an asshole and wants to get rid of that boy, the werewolf boy, because he's an asshole.
He wants to be
with
the girl.
More, right, there's more to it, but his motivations essentially are, I'm an asshole and this is what I do.
Because I'm an asshole.
Right. But the main character, whose name I'm not going to pretend to know how to pronounce.
Cheo-soo?
Yes. She was pretty interesting. I liked how her character...
The girl? I'm sorry, I didn't even catch it.
Yeah, not Chung-soo or whatever, not the boy himself, but the girl.
The girl, Sung-Hee or something like that.
Yeah, she was still reeling from the death of her dad. She's got lung issues. She's trying to get her degree through homeschooling. So I thought she was pretty interesting. Her mom was trying her best. I liked her mom a lot. So there are things, overall, I liked it very much, but I just thought certain elements were a little slow, a little drawn out, a little predictable. That's another thing. The film was very, very predictable. And not, I don't mean like I sat down to watch the movie and I say, I know how this is going to end. It wasn't that kind of predictable. It was predictable in a way where when a scene started, I had a pretty good idea where it was going to end up, and I was right most of the time, and it made the film less engaging.
Now, question I have for you, actually what we were just talking about when we weren't on air, you said there's a specific scene that we both have two different opinions about that you felt was not necessary of the film. Could explain that scene and why you felt it was not necessary.
Well, there's a scene where they're in the market and they're trying to buy the Werewolf Boy clothes, and there's some construction going on, and the construction guys slip up and drop this giant iron beam off the ceiling of this small building, and it's about to fall on the two kids, and so to protect them, the Werewolf Boy holds them close and lets the beam fall on him, has no effect on him whatsoever. And everybody just kind of perks up and they're like, ooh. The reason I thought this scene was kind of pointless was it felt like it was just an excuse to show he has super strength, but at no point does he ever really use that super strength in any great capacity, and other than to save the kids. Yes, it does do a few things. It shows that he's able to protect the people he cares about. It gets people noticing him other than the family and their neighbors, and it gets curiosity in the community about him, which eventually leads to the military getting involved. But other than that, if you're going to establish how incredibly strong he is, you should use that at some point. I felt having super strength like that, where he has the muscle density of an elephant, just for one scene was kind of superfluous and didn't really need to be there. They
Okay.
could have. They could have. It could have done. I don't know what, so maybe I shouldn't criticize it. But they could have done something else in that scene that remained pertinent to the story that accomplished the same effect.
Yeah. So, well,
And your opinion on that was?
yeah, I'll give my opinion. That scene that you just described, that was actually one of the reasons why I decided to watch the film. Like I said at the beginning, I just, I love to watch foreign films. I go to different sites that have either previews or the full movies of foreign films just to get a feel of, would I want to watch this? And that scene was in the trailer. That scene is actually what drew me, pretty much put the final nail in the coffin for me to see the movie, because of the fact that I was um I was going back and forth. I was like pretty much on the seesaw with wanting to see it or not. I'm like, okay, I'm looking at a character who is acting like a wolf, but is he really a wolf? Like, is it really what it means, a werewolf boy? Is he really a werewolf, or are they just saying he's acting like a damn dog, and they have to like snap him out of that behavior? So once it showed that scene where the big metal beam falls on him and he's just not scarred, anything, he doesn't feel anything. I'm like, okay, it's actually confirming that something is different about him. He probably is a werewolf. He has super strength, and he's able to take that. So that actually is what drew me to want to watch the movie in the first place. Because I think if they didn't put that scene in there, we probably wouldn't even be talking about this right now. This movie.
Now within the context, I didn't watch the trailer before I saw the movie. I can see how I totally understand how it made you want to watch the movie, but when you watch the film, looking at it in the context of the story, do you think it was necessary?
Um, for me, yes. I think it was still necessary because you well, for me and for some viewers, you're still in wonder if is he really special? Does he really have some type of power? Is he really a werewolf? Because at that part at that point in the movie, it didn't show. Spoiler: there are times where he does change into a werewolf, but at that point, he didn't change yet. So you're still wondering: is this just bullshit, or is it legit? So when that scene happened, it just pretty much confirmed, like, okay, yeah, something is definitely different about him, and we may not see him change, but we know he's different. So
Well, I mean, when you first see him, he looks like a werewolf, and he's got weird eyes, and his hair is weird, and his body language is weird. I mean, I was still on the fence too during about the first quarter of the film, wondering if it was just a trick of the light, or if he really was wolfish in any capacity. But then they did things where they're playing catch or whatever, and he's super fast. He's faster than everyone. He can pick up the kids in one arm. He can do all of these things. So by that time, I was like, okay, well, he didn't just learn to become faster than everyone else.
yeah.
Obviously, there's something up with him. So when that scene happened, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. I hope you do something with this, and then they didn't. And then they still
Everyone.
have a scene later on
Hmm.
when the asshole shows up with his little asshole buddies, and they are assholes to that girl, and you see him change.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, see, now you already kind of spoiled the fact that he is kind of strong by showing him get hit by that beam. Had you not done that, and we weren't sure how strong he was or how dangerous he was, and then you show him change, I think that would have, for me personally, would have found that more effective.
I actually agree with you. I do agree with you. It would have had more of an effect. Unfortunately, it did. The director didn't make it like that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do agree with you that it actually would have had more of an effect because, like you said, you were on the fence the whole time. So if they wouldn't have shown that part, the part with the iron, the metal beam, and then just went straight to when he changed, I can see how that would have a greater effect on you because it was just like, oh.
I mean, there were enough hints ahead of time for me to realize, yes, he's at least got some wolf blood in him somehow.
Mm.
But before that, but I mean, another scene. And I don't want to. I mean, the movie's good. I don't want to make it sound like I didn't like it because I did. But there are scenes like this that sort of just drew me out of it. Like when they're playing dress up. And it's a cute scene. Don't get me wrong. It's a cute scene, and I enjoyed most of the scene. And
Yeah.
they have the funny makeup on their face, and he's wearing the funny dress, and it was a cute scene. And I feel like it should have ended right there. But then they do the thing where the mom comes home, and she doesn't want the mom to see them that way. And I'm like, why? Like, what's she gonna? It's not like she said in the beginning of the movie, "Don't let me ever catch you wearing silly makeup. I'll banish you from the house." And the mom comes home, and they hide. I'm like, why? And then the kids come in, and then she's like, "Oh no!" And it's not like there was a boy she had a crush on, or there's somebody important there, or like, it's not like somebody's like coming over to the house and like, "I will give you bundles of money if I think your kids are respectful."
Yeah.
And he comes over, and she's wearing this funny makeup, and then he's there, and be like, "Oh no!" Then there'd be a reason for her to be so awkward about it. But instead, the
Yeah.
scene just kind of went on, and I was like, what the fuck? Just go out there and say, yeah, I'm wearing silly makeup. Leave me alone. And she ended up doing that eventually, but it took so long for that to happen. And there's just scenes like that where if they maybe trimmed it,
Yeah.
then it would have been, I would have been more engaged in the movie. I don't know. I mean, even that scene kind of reminded me of E.T. when they dressed him up for Halloween and stuff. And also, they have a scene in it that I couldn't think of the name of the movie, and I was too lazy to look it up. But they have a scene in it where, to protect him, she pretends to hate him. Right?
Oh, at the end,
Towards
near
the
the
end,
end.
yeah. And I was watching that scene, and I was like, I know it's either fucking Harry and the Hendersons or some other. I know it happens in lots of movies where a kid is trying to protect their dog, or the Harry and the Hendersons, they're trying to protect Bigfoot, and they're like, "Go away, stupid! Leave! I don't like you anymore!" And then they cry because they really do like them. And I thought that scene was kind of boring because I've seen it so many times before. Um, and so that I think is the biggest drawback of the movie is I feel like I've seen a lot of it before, and that yeah. Anyway,
What
you were
what
going to
what
say
did
something.
you? Yeah. Actually, well, what did you think of the ending? And I mean, without spoiling it, what did? How did you feel about the ending? Was that original to you, or was that cliche? Have you seen that before?
Well, I figured out the ending before it happened, so it's not really. I didn't figure it out because I'd seen it before. I just figured it out because, again, I thought there's one of two ways this is going to end, and
Yeah.
then it's probably going to be this way because I sort of had that. The film's very sentimental, and so I had, which is fine. I like sentimental. A lot of film fans, like people who study film, hate sentimental movies. Like, as we all know, Steven Spielberg's great, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of really hardcore academic film fans, which I am not, uh, hate Spielberg. They think he's too sentimental, he's too manipulative, and he doesn't. His movies don't earn the feelings that they get. He makes you feel that way. And
Yeah.
film itself is a manipulation. It's a manipulation of sight and sound. Um, I mean, when you go see it, well, nowadays it's not so true, but back when things were not shown on digital, they were
Yeah.
actually shown on film, you were not seeing things moving on screen. It's an illusion. The frames are
Yeah.
moving so fast that it creates the illusion of movement. So to say a filmmaker is manipulative and that's a negative is complete bullshit. He's using the medium he had. And so,
Yeah.
anyway, I'm just explaining that it's not a bad thing that this was a sentimental movie, but the fact that it was so sentimental up until that point, I knew there was going to be a little something something at
Yeah.
the end that was going to be like what they had, and so. But they did it well. I found myself, even though I had predicted it was going to happen that way, I still got a little emotional. I wasn't crying or anything, but I was like, I did form an attachment to these two characters, and it was nice that they had
Um.
the moment they had.
Okay. That. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Okay. Yeah. Whatever. Um. Actually, what character stood out the most to you?
Hmm. Pardon me, I'm pouring tea. I know this is in terribly
Hmm.
bad taste.
According to
If I couldn't appear more pretentious than I already have,
a
um,
spot of tea.
a spoon of tea, thank you.
Thank you.
Um, a character really stuck out to me. I think. Hmm, that's a good question. Probably the mother.
The mother.
Yeah, she seemed to have a lot going on, and they didn't really give her a lot, which is good. I'm glad they did this. They never really gave her her moment to shine. You know, like a lot of the times, especially in American cinema, you have to have every character has to have their moment, and where they either have a big speech, or they stand up for something, or they suddenly become entirely like outspoken, which is out of character for them. She never really had that moment. There were little bits here and there, but for the most part, she seemed like a woman in over her head and just doing what she can. And I like that. I like that there was never a moment where she really stood up and declared some big emotional thing. And all of a sudden, my image is gone.
What?
Back now, don't worry about it. What
Yeah.
character stood out to you?
Forget about it. Well, I have to. It's going to be the typical cliche answer, but the main character, the the werewolf boy himself. Um, just because of all the stages that he went through, um, from pretty much acting like and actually just being a wild beast that is only looking for food and shelter, to actually learning to read, to write, to talk because he was mute. Um, Actually growing feelings for not just the main the girl, Sung-Hee, but actually the whole family, and learning to love them and to be there for them as a family and protect them throughout everything, through thick and thin, which is why he did the things that he did, as far as attacking, transforming, and whatnot. Not trying to spoil, but I just love the transition that he was going through until the very end, which I'm not going to let you know what the ending is, but until the very end, you can see a completely different change in him. So, yeah, cliche. The main character was my pretty much my focal point, because I just love how much you see how much he's grown from beginning to end. So
And you consider him the main character?
I would. Well, see, there's two main characters: the girl and the boy. Um, in my opinion, in my opinion, I see him more as the the primary main character, because of the fact that he is the substance that brought change to the whole film. He's the reason why this whole film is brought about. So I see him as the main character.
I think I consider the girl the main character because it's her story. It's her. We're witnessing all this through her eyes. But I think he is the pivotal character, and by pivotal I mean, like you said, the story hinges upon what happens with him.
Yeah.
So I think I mean, this is semantics. It doesn't matter, but it's. I don't know. I was just curious. I was curious that you would view him as the main character. Yeah, it's interesting.
But you know what? I can actually now see. I can't agree with you about the girl being like the primary main character. I can't agree with you with this movie. But like, hey, let's consider Titanic, which kind of has the same effect, where Rose is old now and she's telling her story. I see Rose as the primary main character, and Jack as just a pivotal. I could see it in that, but not in this. So I don't know. Because
Maybe if Jack was a werewolf, you'd see it in Titanic.
well, he brings a new flavor to the movie if he was a werewolf. Werewolf on the Titanic, and they based on a true story. But I mean, yeah. I mean, shoot, it's in the title, A Werewolf Boy. So like, it kind of just draws you to him. Even though yes, she is the main character, and he's the pivotal main character. Yes, but just the simple fact of the title, it draws you to him, and it makes you want to see more of what he's about. Why he does it? Why is he doing anything he does? You know?
Another thing, I think other than the asshole character and some of the side characters, I think he's the least interesting. I mean, there were moments like when you realize he does what he does because he likes getting a pat on the head from her and whatnot. I think the reactions he causes in other people is very interesting, but that character himself didn't interest me much. Because I've seen werewolves before. I've seen genetically mutated human beings before, and I've seen stories about out of this world characters in ordinary situations or in the ordinary world making the world extraordinary. But I didn't much care for him or about him. I cared about everyone else that he affects.
Okay, all right. But wouldn't that? Yeah. See, yeah, we definitely have two different takes because you say that, but I feel that because of the fact that the effect that he has on everybody else, the drive, you know, the passion that he has that pushes others to do more for him, to want to get to know him, the drive that he has is what makes him the main character.
I don't think he really has much of a drive. I mean, I think had he not come across those people, he would have lived the existence he lived. He learned, yes, once he started to develop feelings and language, he became much more driven and have a goal to protect these people. But that's only because the family cared about him. It's these. I think the girl had a goal. The girl had a goal to find something meaningful in her life. She had a goal to sort of make someone else's life better, meaning with the werewolf boy in particular. I think the mother had a goal to just keep her family together, and even when she brought on new challenges, to take care of that. But I don't feel the werewolf had much of a drive himself until they started to teach him reading and writing and
because the girl herself, she hated him at first. She didn't give a shit about him. She just felt he was an annoyance. Why can't he get out the house? Why can't you just put him in an orphanage or whatnot, what have you? And then I guess what sparked her interest in him was that the fact that she constantly saw his actions. He was acting like a dog. So then she, what did she grab? She got the book of
Dog training manual.
dog training techniques, and it became her little project because she didn't have no friends. She was pretty much on her own in this country home because of her sickness with her lungs or whatnot. So it became her little project to entertain her. But through that, she grew to love him, to have feelings for him, and to care for him as one of her own.
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
I mean,
I agree with you on that. I just I don't think that the boy himself is very interesting. I don't think his origin is very interesting. I don't think anything he does is very interesting. I like little moments from him. I like when he's looking for the guitar and he doesn't know how to say it, so he's holding up a picture of it. I like that, when he likes to be pat by her. Things like that made him endearing, but I don't think he was particularly interesting. For me, I don't know.
Yeah.
He didn't. There's nothing all that special about him, other than the fact that he's a mutant.
He's a mutant.
Yeah. He was much more interesting towards the end of the film when he started to develop his own identity. I think.
Okay.
Well,
with what you just said, I don't know if we're kind of on the same page with that, because you said he wasn't interesting until like near the end where he grew his own identity. And what I was saying was that the transition from just being pretty much a damn dog to actually growing into a person, I love the transition to change. So kind of with you saying...
That's something that happens to him. That's not something that happens because that's his journey. His journey can be interesting, but he as a character is not. For me, yes, it is interesting that he develops language and that he develops an identity, but until that point, these are things that are happening to him, and he is somewhat the cause of. But he doesn't. But as a character, he's not interesting. For me, he's a very good plot device, but he's not a very interesting. I keep saying the word interesting. I'm trying to think of something else, but.
But he is the one that drives the plot, that engine,
right.
And it drives each character to do what they do.
Right.
Literally, each character to do what they do. Actually,
he's the catalyst for the situation, and when the characters are in this situation, they do what they do. And so that, like I said, he's a great plot device. I'm not so sure about a character, and that's not a bad thing. That's what the movie is. It's a movie about a situation and how these characters handle this situation.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I'm saying I wouldn't personally consider him the main character. I consider him the plot device. But we're looking at the movie in two different ideals or angles, But that's how you and I usually watch movies. That's why I wanted to bring it up and talk about it, is because we saw the same movie, but we saw it very differently. Not very differently, but differently enough, which is good. The movie should be seen that way. Everyone should see a different movie than this.
Yeah. Final thoughts. I'll give mine. That because of what you're saying about different angles. The way I saw it was that a boy, the main character, well, he's not a boy, he's a teenager, or whatever, but Chao Su growing to become, he grew from fending for himself, being on his own, just looking for table scraps and a place to stay, shelter, warmth, growing to meet people that he considers family, people that he loves, and a girl that he finds as a love interest. Because it's kind of it's like a little love story as well. But the way I saw it is just, if I were to put myself in the character's shoes or whatever, I don't know anything. and I am very defensive and protective because I don't want to be hurt. I meet this family that is that is doing the best they can to bring me in and to show me love and affection, something that I've never felt before. And they actually care for me. They want to take care of me. So in turn, I'm going to give them all of me and take care of them myself. That's the type of movie that I seen, just plain and simple. I grew a relationship with a family that took me in when I had nothing, and they're trying to build me up and to become something and to be a part of them. That's how I saw it. And in return, I'm gonna give them the best, the best of me. I'm gonna give them everything I can to make sure that they're safe and sound and protected and know that they're loved by me. That's how I saw the movie. So
I
for
agree.
you,
No, I agree. That's part of it. That's a very, very big part of it. But I don't. But for me, that's not all of it. I think it's and the movie started with that character. Like, let's say the modern day shit isn't in it,
yeah,
and it starts with the scientist dying and the boy having to survive, and then the family moving in, and he sort of observes them for a while or something, and then you meet the girl character, and you go in from his point of view. That's how I would have viewed the entire movie. But I viewed that as half the film. The other half of the film is this girl's story, and about how she sort of got brought out of that depression temporarily to take care of this creature, and it did reciprocate that love and affection that she gave. So, but final thoughts on it. It's a good movie. It is. I know I feel like I've been nitpicking it, but it's all the negativity, or not even negativity, but the flaws of the film do not outweigh the overall positivity of the film. What it gets right, it gets right, and what it does well, it does well. And you can glance over the flaws, even though I spent like a half hour talking about them. But no, it is. I definitely understand why it was such a huge hit in South Korea, and I understand why the people seem to enjoy it so much. To me, it was pretty average, but that's better than bad. No, I wouldn't say average. That's a mistake. It's above average. It's good, which is better than bad or average. I feel like I did a bad job. Wait.
No, it was your honest opinion. It was your honest opinion about it, which that's all we can ask for. But the fact is that you did like the movie, even with its flaws.
Right.
You liked the movie.
I didn't love it, but I liked it. I had a very similar opinion of it, and this is going to sound weird. I had a very similar opinion of it that I had of Pacific Rim, which is the last movie that got this sort of reaction out of me. I wish there was more to certain aspects of it. I wish there was less of other aspects. I liked it. I didn't love it.
Yeah.
But I don't regret watching it, that's for sure. And that sounds like damning with faint praise, but it's not. There's been plenty of movies I regret watching, and this isn't one of them.
Nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, very nice.
Okay, so you want to say, I mean, we're not going to have a show next week, but say anything else upcoming?
Because of me. Yeah.
Critic Will is going to go from the hideous hellhole that is Hawaii and instead go to the even worse hellhole that is California.
Piece of shit. Yeah, I'm on my leave, people. I'm taking a little week leave and getting out of the military life just for a week, just to be normal again.
Go ahead.
Oh, then I'll be back to marching 15 in step and 30 in step and just drilling and all that. I will be doing that stuff. But just give me a week of being normal.
Maybe when you come back, we'll talk about your adventures in the land of film. being that you'll be in the epicenter of American cinema, which is
Yes.
Los Angeles.
I will definitely take a picture at the Hollywood sign. Also,
Well, there you go.
yeah, that's where I'm at, bitches.
Until then, we're Two Non Critics, and we'll be Two Non Critics next time we're back too. So bye.